Have you ever wondered why the price of that gadget you've been eyeing suddenly shot up? Sometimes the culprit is a little something called a tariff. Tariffs are like taxes on goods from other countries. They impact your wallet and the economy. Extra costs get passed down to you. Tariffs can also limit your choices, and they can spark trade wars. So, let's explore tariffs and their impact on your life. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is a tariff? In simple terms, it's a tax imposed by a government on goods and services imported from another country. Imagine you're a business owner importing those trendy sneakers everyone's raving about. When those sneakers arrive, the government slaps a tariff on them, a fee for bringing those goods across the border. Governments use tariffs for various reasons, impacting international trade. Understanding tariffs is key for businesses in international trade. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the reasons behind these tariffs and their far-reaching consequences. Let's break down tariffs. A tariff is like a border tax. Imagine a customs officer inspecting containers. They slap on a tariff, a fee for crossing the border. Tariffs control the flow of goods. They protect domestic industries and influence trade. There are different types of tariffs, just like taxes. The most common are ad valorem and specific tariffs. Ad valorem tariffs are percentage-based. They're calculated as a percentage of the goods value. Specific tariffs are fixed fees per unit. Governments mix these tariffs to fine-tune trade policies. Understanding tariffs helps businesses navigate international trade. Beyond the price tag, tariffs might seem like a simple tax on imports, but their implications go far beyond just increasing the price of your favorite foreign-made goodies. They're often wielded as strategic tools by governments to shape trade relationships, protect domestic industries, and even influence global economic trends. One of the primary reasons governments impose tariffs is to shield their own industries from the heat of foreign competition. Imagine a country where a particular industry, let's say textile manufacturing, is struggling to keep up with cheaper imports from abroad. By slapping a tariff on those imported textiles, the government can make them more expensive, giving domestic producers a much-needed edge. This can help safeguard jobs, encourage investment in local production, and foster the growth of homegrown industries. But it's not always smooth sailing. While tariffs can be a boon for certain sectors, they can also trigger retaliatory measures from other countries, leading to trade wars that can harm economies on both sides. It's a delicate balancing act, and governments must carefully weigh the potential benefits against the risks before implementing tariffs. Shielding home turf is a common reason for tariffs, giving local industries a chance in the global market. Imagine a country where local car manufacturers face stiff competition from cheaper imports. The government might impose tariffs to make foreign cars more expensive. This levels the playing field for domestic car makers. Consumers might then prefer local cars, boosting the economy. However, critics argue tariffs can hinder innovation and backfire. Governments must weigh benefits against drawbacks. Tariffs can be a significant source of revenue for governments. Think of it like a toll booth for imported goods. This revenue funds government programs and initiatives. In some countries, tariffs are crucial for government finances. Developing nations often rely heavily on tariffs for revenue. Tariffs provide a straightforward way to generate income. But high tariffs can lead to inflation and reduce purchasing power. They can also spark trade tensions and harm global trade. Governments strive to balance revenue generation and trade health, setting tariffs high enough for revenue but not stifling trade. Balancing the scales, addressing trade deficits. Another reason governments might turn to tariffs is to try and rein in trade deficits, situations where a country imports more goods and services than it exports. A trade deficit essentially means that more money is flowing out of the country to pay for imports than is coming in from exports. By making imported goods more expensive, tariffs can potentially reduce the demand for those products, encouraging consumers to buy locally made alternatives. This shift in consumer behavior can help shrink the trade deficit by reducing the volume of imports. However, using tariffs to tackle trade deficits can be a risky strategy. For one, it assumes that domestic producers can readily meet the demand for goods if imports decline. If local industries can't ramp up production quickly enough or offer products of comparable quality and price, it could lead to shortages and price hikes for consumers. Furthermore, imposing tariffs to address trade deficits often provokes retaliation from trading partners. If country A slaps tariffs on goods from country B to reduce its deficit, country B might retaliate by imposing tariffs on goods from country A. This can escalate into a tit-for-tat trade war, harming both economies and disrupting global trade. Guarding national interests, tariffs, and security implications. Beyond economic considerations, governments sometimes employ tariffs to protect national security interests. Certain industries, such as those related to defense, energy, or critical technologies, are often deemed vital to a country's security and well-being. Governments might impose tariffs on imports in these sensitive sectors to ensure a domestic supply of essential goods and reduce reliance on potentially unreliable foreign sources. This is particularly relevant in times of geopolitical instability or when dealing with countries that might pose strategic risks. For instance, a country might impose tariffs on imported computer chips used in military equipment to ensure that its armed forces have a secure and reliable supply of these critical components. Similarly, a country might use tariffs to protect its domestic energy industry from foreign competition, ensuring energy independence and reducing vulnerability to supply disruptions. However, invoking national security as a justification for tariffs can be controversial. It can be challenging to objectively define what constitutes a national security threat, and some countries might be tempted to use this argument as a cover for protectionist measures that primarily benefit domestic industries rather than addressing genuine security concerns. The price hike. Feeling the pinch of tariffs. Let's face it, nobody likes it when prices go up. Tariffs often lead to higher prices. Those trendy sneakers you want, if they're imported, expect to pay more. Importers pay tariffs, passing costs to you. They won't absorb the cost themselves. Instead, they pass it to consumers. It's like a game of hot potato. The cost lands on you at checkout. That fancy coffee maker, tariffs mean saving up longer. It's not just luxury items. Everyday items and groceries are affected. Section 2. Limited choices. Saying goodbye to variety. Remember that feeling of walking into a store and being overwhelmed by the sheer variety of products? Well, tariffs can throw a wrench in that delightful experience. When imported goods become more expensive due to tariffs, businesses might start rethinking their product offerings. Faced with slimmer profit margins, they might reduce the variety of imported goods they stock, focusing instead on locally produced alternatives or simply offering a smaller selection overall. This can leave consumers with fewer choices, especially when it comes to specialty items, niche products, or goods where imported options dominate the market. Imagine walking down the cereal aisle and noticing that your favorite imported granola brand is missing, or browsing online for a specific type of artisanal cheese, only to find that the selection has dwindled and the prices have skyrocketed. Tariffs can limit consumer choice in subtle but significant ways, forcing us to make do with fewer options or potentially pay a premium for the dwindling supply of our preferred imported goods. It's a classic case of supply and demand. As tariffs reduce the supply of certain imports, the prices go up, and consumers are left with fewer alternatives. Section 3. The domino effect: tariffs and your purchasing power. When tariffs drive up the prices of imported goods, it creates a ripple effect throughout the economy, impacting your purchasing power. Higher import prices can lead to increased production costs for businesses that rely on those imports. These increased costs are often passed on to consumers, leading to higher prices for finished goods. As prices rise, inflation can reduce your disposable income, affecting your ability to save, invest, or spend on discretionary items. Section 4. Navigating the tariff maze. Tips for savvy consumers. Stay informed about trade disputes and tariffs to anticipate price changes and adjust your budget. Explore locally produced alternatives to save money and support your local economy. When shopping for imported goods, compare prices and look for deals or discounts. Knowledge is power. Be mindful of your spending habits to minimize the impact of tariffs on your finances. The domestic boost, a helping hand for local industries. Tariffs can bolster domestic production by making imported goods more expensive. This price difference can incentivize consumers to switch to locally produced alternatives, boosting demand for domestic products. Increased demand can lead to job creation in industries like textiles. However, industries relying on imported raw materials might face higher production costs due to tariffs. The trade war. Tango when tariffs spark retaliation. Tariffs can trigger retaliatory measures from other countries, leading to trade wars. These trade wars can disrupt global supply chains, making it more difficult and expensive for businesses to obtain necessary materials. Higher prices for consumers and reduced profits for businesses can slow economic growth. Trade wars create uncertainty, making businesses hesitant to invest and hire, potentially leading to job losses. The inflation equation. Tariffs and rising prices. Tariffs on imported goods often lead to higher prices for everyday products. This increase contributes to inflation, reducing the purchasing power of your money. As prices rise, you might need to spend more to buy the same goods, leaving less disposable income. Reduced consumer spending can slow economic growth and erode the value of savings and investments. Section 4. Jobs, growth, and uncertainty. The mixed bag of economic impacts. Tariffs can create jobs and boost growth in certain domestic industries by making imported goods more expensive. However, industries relying on imported inputs might face higher production costs, leading to layoffs. Trade wars can disrupt global supply chains, hurting businesses dependent on international trade. The overall impact of tariffs on the economy is complex and varies by industry and country response. Section 1. The case for tariffs. When protectionism holds appeal. Tariffs can protect domestic industries from foreign competition by making imports more expensive. This protection can help struggling industries like furniture manufacturing by leveling the playing field. Consumers might be more inclined to buy locally made products, supporting domestic jobs and the economy. Protectionist tariffs can be appealing for new or strategically important industries. Section 2. The downside of tariffs. Weighing the costs of trade barriers. Tariffs often push up prices for consumers, impacting a wide range of goods. Higher costs for imported goods can strain household budgets, especially for low and middle-income families. Reduced consumer spending can slow economic growth. The overall economic impact of tariffs includes higher living costs and potential job losses in affected industries. Section 1. Steel struggles, the U.S. and aluminum tariffs. In 2018, the U.S. imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, citing national security and manufacturing concerns. While these tariffs boosted U.S. steel and aluminum industries, they triggered retaliatory measures from trading partners. Retaliatory tariffs on U.S. exports disrupted global supply chains and increased costs for businesses and consumers. The broader economic impact included increased tensions and mixed results for different sectors. Section 2. The tech tussle, smartphones and the U.S.-China trade war. The U.S.-China trade war highlighted the impact of tariffs on the tech sector. Tariffs on Chinese goods, including tech products, led to higher prices for smartphones and gadgets. Consumers faced increased costs, straining household budgets and potentially reducing demand for tech products. The trade war underscored the complexities of global trade and its impact on technological innovation. The quest for clean, renewable energy sources has become a global imperative, but trade disputes and tariffs can complicate this goal. In 2012, the US imposed tariffs on Chinese solar panels to protect domestic manufacturers. While tariffs boosted demand for US solar panels, they also raised costs for consumers. Retaliatory tariffs from China on US polysilicon highlighted the trade policy's impact on energy security and environmental goals. The solar panel trade dispute illustrated the challenges of balancing domestic industry protection with affordable, sustainable energy access. Tariffs, those seemingly arcane trade barriers, can significantly impact our lives and the global economy. They can spark trade wars, disrupt supply chains, raise consumer prices, and create winners and losers across industries. Tariffs can make everyday items more expensive and harder to find. Beyond these impacts, tariffs shape business decisions, production costs, and global competitiveness. They also influence international relationships, sparking trade tensions and economic retaliation. In a world where tariffs can appear as swiftly as a surprise rain shower, it's easy for consumers to feel like they're caught in a game of trade policy dodgeball. But while we might not have control over the intricate dance of tariffs and trade agreements, there are steps we can take to navigate this complex landscape and make informed choices. First and foremost, knowledge is power. Stay informed about trade disputes, tariffs, and their potential impact on the products you buy regularly. Pay attention to news reports, industry analyses, and even those little disclaimers on price tags that mention tariffs. Knowing which goods are likely to be affected can help you anticipate price changes, adjust your budget accordingly, and perhaps even stock up on your favorites before those tariffs kick in. Consider exploring locally produced alternatives, especially for goods that are heavily impacted by tariffs. Supporting domestic businesses can not only save you money but also contribute to your local economy, fostering job growth and community resilience. As we've journeyed through the intricate world of tariffs, one thing has become abundantly clear. International trade is a complex and ever-evolving game, one where the stakes are high, the players are diverse, and the rules are constantly being negotiated. Tariffs, often wielded as strategic tools in this global game, represent both opportunities and challenges, demanding careful consideration from policymakers, businesses, and consumers alike. On one hand, tariffs can be a powerful instrument for governments seeking to protect their domestic industries, create jobs, and address trade imbalances. They can provide a much-needed shield for nascent industries, allowing them to grow and thrive in the face of fierce global competition. Tariffs can also generate revenue for governments, providing funds for essential public services and infrastructure projects. However, like a double-edged sword, tariffs can also inflict wounds. They can raise prices for consumers, reduce choices in the marketplace, and disrupt global supply chains, leading to uncertainty and volatility in the global economy. The imposition of tariffs can trigger retaliatory measures from trading partners, escalating trade tensions and potentially igniting damaging trade wars that harm all parties involved.